Okay, in this video tutorial, we're going to go over the contour slicing process and its setup for laser cutting. We're going to go over the contouring process and its setup for laser cutting. So we started with our model here. One of the things that we need to do when we contour a model, we need to have registration cores that we can use to align our model once it's built. And in order to do that, we're going to open up our 4-view, and we're going to use our cylinder tool to create a cylinder. In this case, we're going to use the diameter setting, and we're going to set that diameter setting to 0.25. So it's going to be a 1/4 inch round dowel rod. And we're going to come down here in our bottom window. We're going to make sure that it's long enough to go completely through our object. And so we have this core here. And we're going to slide that through our object, and we're going to try to capture as many of the layers as we can with that. And I'm going to move this in over here to that part of the model. And generally, if you're using a round dowel rod, we want to have 2 cores. So in this case, we're going to take this, we're going to hold down our shift key, slide it over, and we're going to use our alt tap to create a duplicate, like so. So now we have 2 cores that go through our object. And I'm going to move this over a little bit. Let me turn off these snaps there, and I'm going to move this over. And we can have these kind of close together, like so. Okay, and we're going to capture as many of the sections as we can. If we don't get them all, that's nothing to really worry about. We'll be able to resolve that in another way. Now, let's create a couple new layers. Okay, and we're going to create a layer. We're going to create a layer, and we're going to call one layer our model. We're going to call this other layer our cores. Okay? And what we can do now is that we're going to take this object and we're going to move this object down to the model layer. And we're going to paint that object magenta in color. Okay, we're going to make that magenta. Notice that our model turns magenta in color. We're going to go to our cores layer now. We're going to select these objects and change the object layer to the cores layer, and we're going to paint that layer blue. Now, what's the rationale for doing that? It's sort of, we're sort of presaging some work that we're going to do. We know that our object, the contours derived from our object, are going to be outer cut slices. So we want those to be magenta. We know that the cores are going to be inner cut slices, and we want to paint those blue, which helps us will help us down the line when we are contouring our object. Okay, so now let's go in and let's do our contour command. And we're going to select the objects that we want to contour. We're going to select all of our objects, like so. Okay, and now we right click to press enter, and we're going to do our contour base plane in this direction. But let's change some of our settings along here. Notably, the ones that we want to change are our assign layer by, not current layer, but we're going to use input object. Okay, and we want to join curves by contour plane, and we want to group objects by contour plane. We want to set that to yes, so that each one of our slices, even though it encompasses all 3 of these elements, will come as a group. Now we're going to do our base plane. I'm going to hold down my shift key. Because we want horizontal slices, we create a vertical base plane, and we use a setting of 0.23 as we did before in the previous tutorial. And now we begin to get our contour slices, and we have our object sliced. Now I'm going to get rid of my solid objects, right? And I'm going to turn off everything, and I'm going to do an edit select objects, polysurfaces, because I know that each one of my other objects are polysurface, and those are selected, and I'm going to use my hide objects tool right here to hide those. And you note that my slices are now color coded. Okay, I'm going to maximize my front window, and as I look at my front window, I know that these are orphans. So I'm going to get rid of those, and now I'm going to get rid of those. Okay, now let me come to my perspective window, and I can look at my slices. Now note when I click on my slices, it selects both the slices and the inner cores for each one of my layers. Okay, so now what I need to do, I need to take these layers in order and flatten them out on my sheet here. But before I do that, let's do a little work over here in our layers area. Let's change the layer name for this one to outer cut. We're going to change the name to this layer to inner cut. And we're going to add 2 new layers. We're going to add a layer called text. And we know that text layers are always color-coded red. And we're going to add another layer. We're going to call that one reference. And reference layers are always color-coded cyan. Okay? So beginning on our reference layer, we're going to go to our top window, and we're going to create a box that represents the size of our laser bed. And for that, we're going to use our rectangle tool. So we're going to click on our rectangle tool here. We're going to type in 0 as the starting point. And we know that our laser bed is 48 inches by 24 inches. Okay. Note that this is colored blue. I forgot, and what we should do, I'm just going to move this down to the reference layer so that it's now cyan. It's reference colored. Okay. So now let's go back to our foreview, and we want to begin laying out our slices. Okay. And the way that we do that is that we click on a slice like so. We type in the move command, and we click on, let's turn on our near snap so it snaps near to our object, and we type in 0 on our keyboard, which moves that and snaps that down to the origin. We want to be in flatland. Okay, let's set the view for this window to top also, and we're going to zoom in here, and we're going to move this over like so. Now note here in this layer that our outer cuts are cutting our object. So basically we just want to engrave these lines in. We don't want to cut them out. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to do a Shift Control G to ungroup that. We're going to select these, and we're going to change their object layer to the text layer so that those become just engravings on there, and now we can regroup them. Okay, we go to the next layer, the move command once again, click, type in 0, and we move this over here. And we want to make our text layer active, because now what we want to do, we want to go to our text tool, click on our text object tool, and we want to make sure that we are in curve selection and that the height is 0.25, or you can make it slightly larger, and we're just going to type in 2 right there. And we're going to place that right in there like so. Select those and hit Control G to group those together. Okay, and we're going to continue this process. Once again, move, go to our near snap, select, type in 0, snaps it down to 0, and we can drag it over here. And I usually give myself a 1/4 inch for my borders, just in case. And I want to come over here to my text tool, type in 3, group those. Some things to remember. You can feel free when you're organizing your slices on your layers, you can feel free to move them in this window, any position that you like. And I always like to start from the bottom and work my way across. But you can't rotate them, especially when you're using cardboard, I should say. You should never rotate them, because if you do rotate them, you're going to lose the continuity of your cardboard cut when you do that. So always move them you can move them two-dimensionally, but you can't rotate them for any reason. When you're using plastics and wood, that's not a problem, but with cardboard, that is a factor. So as you can see, I paused the recording so that I could go back and lay out all the parts, but here you can see all of the slices laid out on the sheets. Note that each slice is numbered. I want to draw your attention to a couple things. On this first slice where it cut here, I moved the circles to the text layer so that they would go there. And if I wanted to align this slice to this section right here, because I'm basically going to glue that onto here, what I could do is that I could take this object and do a drag and alt tap it, and I'm going to move the whole thing to the text layer so that it becomes red there. And now I'm going to use these circles to align this. Like so. And now I'm going to do Shift-Control-G to ungroup those. And now I can delete away the red circles and group all of these elements together. And now I'll have an engraved circle right here that I can use to align this slice right here to that slice right there. And that's my cut sheet, and it's complete and ready for laser cutting. And that concludes this tutorial on slicing your model with cores and laying it out for laser cutting. Have fun.